Pause for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath and let the noise around you fall away. Before you scroll past this, listen in complete stillness, because finding these words at this particular moment may feel far more meaningful than coincidence. Life has a strange way of bringing certain messages to us when something inside is ready to recognize them. Even when the rational mind cannot explain why, the heart often senses movement long before facts appear. And perhaps that is why you are here now. Beneath all your questions, whether this person still thinks about you, whether something remains unresolved, whether the connection has truly reached its end, something may already have shifted beyond what you can see. No announcement was made, no message appeared on your screen, nothing obvious happened in the outer world. Yet somewhere beyond your awareness, a profound inner decision may have taken place in silence. Your spirit is being invited to understand what that hidden change could mean for your own journey. For days, weeks, or perhaps months, you may have carried an unfamiliar pressure within you, a heaviness in the chest, an unexplainable restlessness, a sense that something is approaching while nothing seems to happen. Perhaps you wake in the night, feel tension rise in your throat, or wait for a sign that never arrives. Do not automatically dismiss these sensations as weakness or imagination. Sometimes silence communicates more deeply than words ever could. When the inner self becomes unsettled, it may be responding to a change that the conscious mind has not yet recognized. Your inner world can sometimes detect a transformation before your eyes have any evidence of it. Like a distant signal felt before its source comes into view, the emotional bond between you and this person may no longer carry the same uncertainty it once did. Perhaps they are no longer standing in that familiar space between possibility and action. Somewhere recently, during a sleepless night, a solitary drive, or an unexpected moment of complete stillness, they may have finally confronted what they truly feel and chosen a direction. And this is the important part. Such a choice would not necessarily come from loneliness, convenience, pride, or fear. Some decisions arise from a place much deeper than the ego. A meaningful connection can be resisted for a long time. People can create distance, hide behind silence, deny what they feel, and convince the world that nothing matters. Yet there can come a moment when avoiding the truth requires more energy than facing it. When that threshold is reached, something changes. This may be why hope and uneasiness seem to exist together inside you. Distance cannot always erase what has touched the deepest layers of two lives. Time without contact cannot necessarily destroy it either. Words spoken in pain or words never spoken at all do not always sever an invisible thread. When someone reaches a genuine decision within themselves, the consequences of that inner shift may be felt long before the outer world reveals anything. Perhaps that is why their memory suddenly enters your mind while you are busy, why their voice seems to return when you least expect it, or why they appear in dreams despite your efforts to move forward. This need not mean obsession. It may simply reflect that the emotional story has not yet revealed its full meaning. Many imagine that a profound bond must always feel peaceful, simple, and effortless. But the connections that transform us most deeply often do the opposite. They disturb what has become comfortable. They expose hidden wounds, bring buried fears into the light, and force us to confront the parts of ourselves we would rather avoid. During this period of separation, this person may have been facing exactly that inner struggle, standing before the psychological mirror without the usual masks and asking whether they could continue running from their truth. You may have believed their confusion was still controlling everything, that the story remained frozen and undecided. Yet an internal answer may already exist, even if no immediate action has appeared to confirm it. What is settled within often takes time before it becomes visible without. This message is not meant to trap you in fantasy or ask you to wait helplessly. Its purpose is to help you examine your own intuition. Not every silence is an ending. Sometimes distance becomes the space in which a necessary transformation takes place. Not every apparent withdrawal is rejection. Occasionally it is preparation for a person to understand the weight of what they feel. So pay attention to what happens inside you now. Step away from endless analysis and listen to your deeper response. If peace and trembling hope appear together, perhaps these words have touched something your inner self already sensed. If tears rise, something heavy may finally be loosening. If the knot within you begins to soften, an old wound may be asking to heal. You are not simply trapped waiting for someone incapable of choosing. You are moving through a sacred period of change, where inner truths are finding their proper place before life reveals what comes next. And sometimes, the final unfolding arrives in a form very different from the one we imagined. Sometimes life does not unfold according to the impatient demands of the ego. It reveals itself when the soul is ready to learn what it came here to understand. If these words resonate with something deep inside you, let yourself accept the possibility that this moment is asking you to receive rather than chase. To understand what may be happening, we have to look more closely at the silence that has caused you so much pain. It is easy to interpret distance in the simplest possible way. In a world obsessed with speed, we are taught that no message means no interest, no call means no care, and silence means we have been forgotten. But deep human connections do not always follow those rules. Sometimes silence becomes the place where the most difficult inner work is taking place. This person did not necessarily step back because of a passing mood or make this decision overnight. Their withdrawal may have emerged from a long and private struggle, one fought between what their heart was experiencing and what their conditioned mind believed was necessary for safety. They may have tried every rational explanation possible to convince themselves they could leave this connection behind. Perhaps they buried themselves in work, overwhelmed their thoughts with distractions, or filled emotional emptiness with things that never truly satisfied them. They may even have searched for similar feelings elsewhere, hoping another connection could replace what existed between you. Yet something remained unresolved. No matter how firmly they tried to close that inner door, part of them continued to feel that the story between you was not entirely finished. Some experiences cannot simply be erased by noise. The more a person runs from a truth, the more clearly they may eventually feel the emptiness left by that escape. Every attempt to avoid what they felt may have brought them closer to a moment when a choice could no longer be postponed. The deepest decisions are not always announced dramatically. Sometimes nothing changes visibly at first. There is no long declaration, no public promise, no sudden proof. Instead, the decision begins quietly, through the growing exhaustion of living against one's own inner truth. This person may have slowly realized that the emptiness inside them was not created merely by your absence, but by the effort of denying what they genuinely felt. Suppressing a powerful emotion can consume enormous energy. Eventually, maintaining the mask becomes harder than admitting what lies beneath it. And if you have spent lonely nights blaming yourself, wondering whether you were too intense, too honest, too emotionally open, or whether your love frightened them away, release some of that guilt. Your depth was not necessarily the problem. Your love did not automatically cause their retreat. Sometimes another person's distance reflects their own temporary inability to hold the intensity of what is happening inside them. Some people need time to become capable of receiving what they have always said they wanted. When something precious finally arrives, fear can appear alongside it. Fear of not deserving it, fear of losing it, fear of becoming vulnerable, or fear that opening the heart will change everything. This person may have had to confront fears connected to control, vulnerability, old disappointments, and the possibility of repeating painful patterns from the past. They may have stepped away not because they felt too little, but because, in their own way, they felt more than they knew how to manage. Time, however, has a way of rearranging what confusion has scattered. As external noise begins to fade, the voice within becomes harder to silence. In that stillness, this person may have discovered that staying away did not create the peace they expected. Avoiding the truth may have only increased the longing, the regret, and the sense that something important had been left unresolved. What happened between you may have stopped looking like a temporary episode and started revealing itself as an encounter that changed their understanding of their own life. If a choice has truly been forming, it is larger than the simple question of whether someone will send a message or arrange a meeting. It is about deciding to live more honestly with themselves. Some connections enter our lives not to keep us comfortable, but to dismantle the patterns that have kept us from growing. You may have been one of the catalysts for that transformation. Perhaps this is also why you have recently felt emotionally exhausted, not defeated, but strangely less interested in forcing an outcome. You may feel your defenses softening and your need to control the ending beginning to disappear. That is not necessarily surrender in the hopeless sense. It can be maturity. It can be the moment when something within you says, "I have done what I could. I no longer need to chase the answer. I can allow life to reveal itself." When we stop gripping the outcome so tightly, our resistance often weakens and we finally make room for movement. Still, do not mistake an inner decision for an instant promise that everything will become perfect tomorrow. Meaningful relationships rarely travel in straight lines. There can still be delays, difficult conversations, consequences to face, and pieces of life that must be repaired before the inner truth can become outward action. Yet something fundamental changes when uncertainty no longer controls the heart. Once a person clearly recognizes what they feel, the direction of their energy can begin to shift toward authenticity, much like a river naturally moving toward the sea. Their mind may still resist. They may still be untangling old choices, rebuilding courage, or learning how to act on what they have finally admitted to themselves. But they are no longer necessarily standing in the same place emotionally. They may no longer be divided between opposing truths. They know more clearly what they feel, and that awareness can change the entire course of the story. Deep love does not always arrive with guarantees or perfect certainty. Sometimes it emerges only after storms, painful lessons, and the realization of what no longer belongs in one's life. And throughout this distance, you have been changing too. You are not the same person who entered this experience. You may have learned to trust your intuition, establish healthier boundaries, and understand that you never need to beg for the care you deserve. You have learned how to remain standing when you once believed you would fall. None of that growth was meaningless. Whatever comes next, you will meet it from a wiser, more conscious, and more authentic place. And nothing you have endured has been without purpose. Every tear you shed, every sleepless night filled with questions, and every painful attempt to release what you could not control has been part of a profound inner transformation. Now that transformation may be moving into a new stage, one in which this person's inner realization begins to intersect with the growth you have achieved. This is why you must learn to recognize movement even when nothing seems to be happening. Your physical eyes may see only silence, distance, and the same unanswered questions, yet much of life begins beneath the surface before it ever becomes visible. For this person to reach such inner clarity, they had to confront something that existed entirely within themselves. Their struggle was not necessarily caused by anything you lacked. In fact, during the separation, you may have repeatedly wondered whether you were not enough, or whether they simply stopped caring. But from a Jungian perspective, another possibility exists. They may have pulled away because your presence made it difficult for them to continue avoiding themselves. This is where we encounter the shadow, the rejected, hidden parts of the personality that people bury because they were taught those qualities were unacceptable, dangerous, or shameful. Imagine carrying an invisible container filled with everything you refuse to face. Before meeting you, this person may have organized their life carefully enough to keep that container closed. They wore a familiar social mask and maintained a sense of control. Then your connection became a mirror. Through the closeness between you, they may have seen wounds, fears, contradictions, and unfinished parts of themselves with an intensity they could no longer ignore. Your capacity for love may have exposed their fear of vulnerability. Your honesty may have confronted the stories they told themselves. Your courage may have revealed where fear still ruled them. Understand this clearly. Being a mirror does not mean you caused their wounds. Light can feel overwhelming to someone who has spent years adapting to darkness. The first reaction is not always gratitude. Sometimes it is to turn away, close one's eyes, and retreat toward what feels familiar. Their distance, therefore, may have been less about escaping you and more about defending themselves from what your presence awakened. They may have felt emotionally exposed and unable to maintain the control on which they had built their identity. This can make a withdrawal appear sudden, cold, or impossible to explain. Excuses often become easier than admitting, "This connection makes me afraid because it reaches parts of me I do not know how to face." In Jungian psychology, growth begins when the unconscious becomes conscious. Whether intentionally or not, your presence may have become a catalyst for that process. You stirred something that might otherwise have remained dormant for years, and once distance removed you as the visible focus of their struggle, they were left alone with their own inner voice. The separation became a place where they could no longer easily blame the connection for everything they were feeling. They had to meet their fears directly. Fears of abandonment, inadequacy, loss of control, vulnerability, and becoming someone different. This kind of inner work can be exhausting. What looked like anger or indifference may, at times, have been the strain of an old identity beginning to break apart. Growth rarely feels comfortable while it is happening. Just as the body aches when it is stretched beyond familiar limits, the psyche can experience discomfort when it is forced to expand. After seeing certain truths, returning completely to the old way of living can become difficult. Ordinary conversations may start to feel empty, and shallow connections may no longer provide the same comfort. Something has shifted because a seed has been planted in the unconscious. The deeper gift of a meaningful connection is not that it makes someone dependent on another person. It is that it can push both individuals toward becoming more whole within themselves. We often assume that love should mean remaining physically close at all times. Yet sometimes distance becomes necessary because two people are not ready to meet each other without repeating destructive patterns. Space can prevent unresolved wounds from turning the relationship into another battlefield. You may have needed to learn release, boundaries, and self-trust while they needed to discover their own truth. And when what was once hidden begins to enter awareness, the energy previously used for denial can be redirected. Energy spent suppressing feelings, maintaining walls, and running from inner conflict does not simply disappear, it can be transformed. The person who once viewed closeness as a threat may eventually understand that the real prison was the rigid identity built around fear. What once looked dangerous may begin to feel safe. What they once wanted to escape may begin to resemble a return to something emotionally true. You did not necessarily do anything wrong by loving deeply. Sometimes the encounter itself becomes the storm that clears an atmosphere that could no longer remain unchanged. If a genuine inner shift has taken place, the choice that follows comes from a more conscious place. It is no longer simply fear reacting in the moment, but a person becoming increasingly aware of the direction they want to take. Such transformations can remain invisible while still creating powerful changes in how someone thinks, feels, and behaves. You may notice that your own fear is changing too. Perhaps there is a strange sense of presence despite the absence of words, or a feeling that something unresolved is moving beneath the surface. Pay attention to your body and emotions, but do not treat every sensation as unquestionable proof of what another person is thinking. Our feelings can be meaningful signals, yet they are also shaped by memory, longing, hope, and the unconscious. Sudden waves of sadness or happiness may reflect your own emotional world, your empathy, or associations connected to this relationship. Dreams can also bring buried feelings to the surface, creating experiences that feel extraordinarily real. Instead of needing to label them as messages or signs, allow them to reveal what they may be telling you about your own needs, fears, and desires. Pause here for a moment. If you feel ready to release the belief that you must chase what is meant to meet you, write in the comments, "I deserve." Let it be a reminder of your own worth, not a demand for the universe to deliver one specific outcome, but a declaration that you are prepared to receive love in a form that is honest, mutual, and real. And then there are synchronicities. The moments when a name appears unexpectedly, a familiar song plays at a striking time, or repeating patterns seem to catch your attention everywhere. You do not have to force an explanation for every coincidence. Sometimes these experiences become meaningful because they reflect what is alive in your psyche at that moment. Let them invite reflection rather than obsession. Your task is not to search endlessly for confirmation. It is to remain grounded enough that, whatever is genuinely approaching, it can meet you without you losing yourself in the pursuit. What has become deeply understood within you does not need to be chased into existence. As this chapter moves toward its next stage, you may feel caught between two realities: an inner sense that something is changing and an outer world that still appears unchanged. That tension can be one of the hardest parts of transformation. Your deeper self may sense possibility while your eyes continue to see silence. In that gap, restlessness can arise. You may suddenly feel tempted to reach out, unable to sit still, or aware of an unfamiliar energy moving through your body. Before acting, pause, breathe. Ask yourself whether the impulse comes from clarity or anxiety. The most important transformation is not forcing the future to arrive. It is becoming strong enough to meet whatever truth arrives without abandoning yourself. What you may be experiencing now can feel like the return of a connection to the center of your life after a long period of distance. There can be a powerful sense of emotional gravity, as though two lives that moved in different directions are gradually being drawn toward the same point again. You may also notice that your relationship with the past has begun to change. Memories that once filled you with anger, grief, or disappointment may no longer carry the same emotional charge. They are still part of your story, but they no longer control your present. This can be one of the clearest signs that genuine healing has taken place. You are no longer trapped waiting for the perfect apology or desperately searching for an explanation that will make everything make sense. Instead, you may be becoming ready to meet life without demanding that the past repeat itself. Perhaps the other person is going through a similar process, releasing guilt, confronting old fears, and beginning to understand the difference between genuine feeling and the shadows created by insecurity. You might start noticing reminders of them throughout ordinary moments: a familiar scent, an unexpected sensation of warmth, or a sudden memory that appears without warning. Rather than needing to decide that every experience is proof of something supernatural, You can allow these moments to show you how deeply the connection has been woven into your emotional world. The distance between two people can shrink long before geography or circumstances visibly change. Practical barriers, schedules, responsibilities, location, timing, or unresolved situations can gradually rearrange themselves. Your task is not to control every detail, stay open, but remain grounded. Instead of exhausting yourself with questions about exactly when or how something will happen, return to what you can actually shape, the way you live, the way you care for yourself, and the standards you carry into every relationship. Move through your days with the quiet dignity of someone who no longer needs to beg life for permission to feel whole. Give yourself the respect, tenderness, and consistency you hope to receive from another person. The way you relate to yourself teaches you what kind of love you are willing to accept. What once felt like being stuck may actually reveal itself as a period of ripening, a process that cannot be rushed without losing something important. As the emotional pressure begins to settle, you may notice an unfamiliar stillness in your mind. The frantic inner voice that once demanded answers may be growing quieter. You are entering a different psychological space, one where you no longer feel compelled to chase, convince, or prove your worth. In this stillness, your life can begin to reorganize itself. You may naturally lose interest in distractions that once consumed your attention, not because you are withdrawing from life, but because your priorities are becoming clearer. Your inner world may be clearing space for a more conscious kind of encounter. Meanwhile, the other person may be moving through their own difficult reckoning, looking back on the moments when fear influenced their choices and recognizing what those decisions cost them. If they are genuinely changing, the important question may no longer be whether they feel something, but whether they are willing to act with greater honesty and maturity. Perhaps that is why silence sometimes continues a little longer just before an important change. Courage still has to gather itself before truth can become action. A meaningful return, if it happens, should not be a return to the old relationship. It should be an opportunity to meet as people who have learned from what happened. You may also notice old connections resurfacing or new romantic possibilities suddenly appearing around you. Take these moments not as tests designed to punish you, but as opportunities to see how much you have changed. Are you still willing to abandon your deeper needs for something immediately available? Or have you become clear about the kind of relationship you truly want? Do not allow loneliness, nostalgia, or temporary attention to pull you away from the peace you have worked so hard to build. Your emotional stability matters. When you stop becoming a storm within yourself, you can finally see other people clearly. Be like a lighthouse, not chasing every ship through the darkness, but standing firmly in your own place and allowing what is capable of reaching you to navigate honestly. Eventually, the invisible changes taking place inside people must meet the visible world through action.